my name is Courtney Walsh with the Samuel Proctor Oral History Program at UF. Today is March 30th, and today I'm here with
Dr. Lakisha Witter. Hi.
Hi, and we're going to be talking a little bit about the Machen Florida Opportunity Scholars Program, also known as the Florida Opportunity Scholars Program, when she attended UF. So first question, if you don't mind just telling me a little bit about yourself, your hometown, your family, what you studied at UF, the basics.
Yes, so thank you so much for this opportunity and just being here and being able to reflect back on my journey, which was many years ago. I'm not going to tell my age, but I can remember what it was like when I originally walked on the UF campus. So me growing up, I have a big family. I have 12 siblings, and I grew up and when I graduated high school in 2006, I may tell my age, I remember applying to UF, not knowing whether or not I was going to get in because one, I grew up in foster care. No one in my family has ever went to college. I didn't know if it was something that was, possible. So I remember when I applied to UF, getting that letter of acceptance was a life-changing for me. And I remember applying to UF and saying, if I didn't go to UF, I was going to go into the military because at least it would have provided me stability and I would have been able to take care of myself. So for me, when I got accepted, that was a life-changing goal for me, coming from a family of 12, growing up in foster care. This was an opportunity for me that no one in my family has ever had.
So when you applied to UF, did you know about the program, the MFOS program, or no?
No, I didn't know anything about UF, the program in general. I didn't even really know how to go about filling out the whole application process. That process came from my mentor, my middle school mentor. I was a part of Take Stock in Children's, and my middle school mentor followed me throughout high school. And she was very helpful in that process of this is what an application looks like. This is what you apply, this is what you do. So I had no idea about the program at all. I didn't really find out about it until I got accepted. And once I got on campus, it was okay, this is what the program is about.
And what did you study at your time at UF?
So for my bachelor's, I started off studying, I started off on the pre-med track. I think I got to microbiology too. And then I said, you know what, this isn't for me. So my bachelor's degree was in sociology. And my master's degree was in education with a concentration in special education with a concentration in autism. And those were the degrees that I got from UF.
And you said you started out as pre-med. Do you feel like there's pressure for first-generation students to be in STEM or like be doctors or lawyers and stuff like that?
Yeah, so I don't want to necessarily speak for everyone, but I know for me, I grew up in a family where one, I did not want to relive and be in poverty. And I knew that medicine was a way for me to be able to make a living for myself. And I also wanted to do pre-med, but I really wanted to be a neurologist because I wanted to fix crazy people's brain is what I thought at that time. But for me, it was more so of stability. I never really had pressure from my parents to go into that field. My adopted family was very welcome to whatever I wanted, but I do know and hear of people who, as going to college, that is the pressure and that is a mark of success for a lot of families and a lot of people. But I think for me, it was more so financial reasons. I didn't want to be poor. And I remember being at UF and getting this urge that I need to go into education because that's what my doctorate degree is in. And I just remember saying I didn't want to be poor. I did not want to be a poor teacher because I heard about these stories of that. So for me, I never heard about poor doctors. So I was like, this is going to be great. But then I think during my journey of UF and just the opportunity and the exposure, I think it allowed me to come to grips with my truth and about what it was that I was studying. And I think a lot of times for first generational students, we have that pressure to become what our families want us to become, but somewhere during that journey, I came into discovering what it is that I wanted to become. And I knew that pre-med was something that was not the pathway for my life that I wanted to take at that time.
Could you tell us a little bit about what you're doing now? You said you have a doctorate. That's amazing.
So I have many hats right now. I'm doing a lot. A lot of times people think I am crazy. Sometimes I think I am as well. But yeah, so no, my doctorate's is in educational leadership. So I have a couple of roles that I play. I work as a professor where I'm in higher ed, where I teach and train teachers who are getting their licensing. I'm in my current state in getting their master's or their doctor's degree in education. In addition to that, I oversee charter schools. I have quite a few charter schools for special education compliance with the Department of Education in the state that I'm in. And then in addition to that, during the summertime, I actually work and I actually own a farm, a very successful farm. So I get to do things that I'm very passionate about growing my food, and then also about educating and being an advocate for students with special needs and teaching teachers how to teach them. So yeah, that's just in a nutshell of some of the things that I do.
That's amazing. And did you find like this passion, the combination of education and farming at UF, or did you find that more post undergraduate?
Yeah, so it came along my journey in life. I've said this before, growing up, I had no experience with farming. However, I did have a mentor at UF, and Dr. Hill was his name. As part of the program, he was my mentor. And I remember when we would meet, he would take me on these nature walks to try to get me familiar with nature. And I hated them, but now I wake up in the morning with my cup of coffee and I just go out and walk outside nature. I love hearing the birds. I love hearing all of those. So I do believe a seed was definitely planted while I was at UF with my mentor because of the exposure of nature. And I believe there was a Perry somewhere in Gainesville. There's like a Perry that we used to go to that I remember taking our camera, and he was having it as an educational moment, telling me, oh, this is this plant, this is that. And I was just like, I'm ready to go. But now I'm going back and I remember those moments and I'm able to say, hey, you know what? This is that type of bird. This is that. So I definitely would say yes at UF. It definitely planted a seed. But as I grew up older, that seed started to grow and take root into that.
That's awesome. And Payne's Prairie is the prairie. I think they.
Yes.
Yeah, I love Payne's Prairie. But so what other type of organizations were you involved with during your time at UF?
So yeah, while I was at UF, I can say when I reflect back on my journey, I wish I would have been more involved. But I think me coming in as a first year student, my main focus was just to graduate and not flunk out of college. So I was a part of New Alpha Lambda, which was this Christian organization on campus. And that organization created a sisterhood for me, where we were able to encourage each other along our journey because a lot of us was first time students in college. So that was one that I was really active in for majority of my time that I was there. I can't remember the exact year, it's been so long ago, but that was one organization that I was definitely a part of.
Awesome. And how did your first generation identity guide you throughout college? Do you feel like it put you in newer positions? Did it hinder you a bit? Like, how did that identity, I guess, interact with your college experience?
Well, I would say just with that question, the way that I'm interpreting is I had to see it as a growth process, because one, having a label as a first generational student comes with its own stereotypes. And I think I did not want to embrace those stereotypes of my capability, and knowing that one, even though if I was a first year generational student, giving that opportunity, it will be able to not be able to create other opportunities for myself and others. And I think whenever, I put that label on myself as a first generational student, it can be perceived as, differently from different people. But how I perceived it as I was a pioneer in my family going into an avenue or given an opportunity that they maybe weren't afforded. So when I embraced that notion of a first generational student, it gave me back the power. And it gave me the power to believe in myself, the power to be what it is that I wanted to be, and not the pressures or the norms of what society says I should be. I mean, even in the notion that you talked about earlier with first year generational students wanting to go into medicine, I think when we embrace that identity as this is our opportunity and opportunity has been given to us, it changed the landscape of what we can become. And, and everyone has their different path. So I think for me, when I took that power back to say, I've been given the opportunity, I was able to create that canvas for myself to say, this is what I want my life to look like with the opportunity that was given. I can say when I was at UF, I thought education was the canvas. And I never thought, I would be doing farming. I never thought that I would leave, Florida to come to a very cold place. It's like the coldest place in the United States here, but it's a canvas, and life is beautiful when you take control and you take your power, and any opportunity that you're given, you make the most of it. And I think when I look back at my life, that's what I did. I tried to make the most of that.
That's a really great mindset to have, and I appreciate you sharing that. So a little bit about the program. How do you feel like the program helped you at your time at UF, the UMFS program?
Yeah, so I remember, honestly, so this is over a decade or so ago. I remember the program doing activities, a lot of activities. Some of it I went to and some of them I didn't. But I think one of the things that I realized, and when I reflect back on that, I felt like if I had to look back at the program, having a mentor that was very hands-on with me was very beneficial, because there's things like, even when it comes to what do you do when you go to your academic advisor? There's been times where I know sometimes the academic advisors can give you wrong information. And if you don't know, and if you don't have anyone that, goes to college or been to college, you don't know what to do. So having that mentor was very life-changing and pivotal in my life, because there were moments where, because I haven't ever been to college and I didn't have anyone, my mentor knew the ropes. He knew what to expect, and he kind of coached me along the way of that. So I would say definitely, if I look back at the program, one of the things that was beneficial was having an active mentor. And I feel that that is something that, with the history of the program and as it continued to grow, building that relationships between the faculty and the students that are coming in, and then also making sure there's some type of onboard training to say, hey, when you have X, Y, and Z questions, this is where you go, this is what to expect. Because I think coming in, we were overloaded. I was so overloaded with millions of things that were coming in my way, that sometimes the initial opportunity of, hey, I'm in college, is overwhelming. And the more help you can get with someone helping you navigate through that and helping you make sense of this new normal and acting as a guide, I think it would help you along the way. I just remember sitting in orientation, I was like, this is too much. I was just like, okay. And, and I think one thing I remember in talking to some of my other friends who were still friends this day, who were also, scholars as well, we all came from different backgrounds. So when we got to UF, we were expecting different things. But if we had that program that stabilized it and says, this is what you can expect while you're at UF, I think that would have made all the difference. But even if that wasn't in place, having that mentor made the difference for me.
And was this a faculty mentor?
Yeah. So my mentor, so because I was on the pre-med track, my mentor is actually, he was in the College of Veterinary Medicine. And that was something that I was thinking about doing as well. So it was really good to have him and just being able to have him as a mentor. But yes, he was definitely in the College of Medicine.
Awesome. And when you became an upperclassman at UF, were you a mentor for the young, like the incoming students?
I can't necessarily remember. That time has been so faint. I can't remember if I was a mentor, not for this particular program. I know I've done some other things, but I can't remember that.
No problem. And so what advice would you give to any incoming students to the program or first generation college students about UF or their undergrad in general?
So what I would say is one, we start off in a place of gratitude that we've been giving the opportunity, but now we have to take this opportunity and being able to make the most of the opportunity. You know, you are given a blank canvas right now. Your life and your journey will be what you make it. I would definitely say build a community, a positive community of support to help you navigate this new normal and this new canvas, because there's going to come a lot of things that's going to come up that you may not know and you may not be familiar with. But if you have an advocate or if you have a mentor and you have people who can help you along the way, I do believe that it will help you in your journey. And I think also too, it starts with the belief in yourself. You know, if you made it to this point where you're in college and you got accepted, have that belief in yourself that you will succeed, you will finish, and life, you know, life is what you make it, and just believe in yourself to know that you can be whatever you want to be is what I would say.
That's awesome. And how did it feel on graduation day? You're graduating from MFOS, you're graduating from UF. What was that feeling like for you?
Well, I remember that day because I was so proud of myself. I graduated with all of these honors, and Tim Tebow was right in front of me. Yes. And I just remember him walking out and there was a standing no ovation. And I just remember it. I was happy. I was clapping because I was excited for him as well. And then I remember when I walked across the stage, I remember the president at the time gave me this look like, who are you? You have all of these rewards on and I don't know your name. And I'm like, don't worry, I'm not Tim Tebow, but I am Lakisha Witter here. And I just remember the excitement and the relief to walk across the stage and being able to get my degree. And when I think about it, we still have it, my family and I, we still have it on video. We watched that and I'm like, hey, there's Tim Tebow. So yeah, so it was great. But I also think too, once I got the degree, that's when reality hit. Is no more, you know, Gator games. There's no more of having, you know, that campus camaraderie and all of those, no more going to the gyms and getting, you know, those free classes that I used to get and all of those great things. So it was great to know that I made that milestone in my life. But then the reality, it happened, and it hits you to say, now that I've gotten this degree, what am I going to do? I need to get a job. I need to do those things. So it was a great experience. It was a sign of relief. It was celebration, but it was also letting me know I need to prepare for the future.
And how was that transition into like the quote unquote real world for you? I know you got postgraduate degrees, but was it difficult coming out from your undergraduate into the adult world?
Yes, I will say so. And I will say it was very difficult because in a good way, I was spoiled in UF, I would say. I mean, we've gotten a lot of accommodations. It was a whole bubble that I was in at UF. I mean, we've gotten free bus passes. We've gotten all of these things that I think when I realized that it was going to stop, I was like, what do I do? What do I do? I'm going to have to pay for the bus. I'm going to have to get a car now. So needless to say, those types of things, I think with the transition, I was not necessarily prepared for that. And that it wasn't necessarily because I don't believe the resources were there. I do remember going and I remember applying at they had a campus career CRC or something like that. I don't know what that is called now.
The Career Resource Center?
Yeah. So I remember going through the Career Resource Center and saying, hey, help me with my resume, help me with this. And I think it was more so because of my major with sociology. There's a gamut of things that you can do. So it wasn't really, you know, concrete as to what area I should apply. But my mentor was very helpful in that area with me when I did not know what to do. Both my Take Stock Children's mentor and my college mentor was like, we're going to help you. So they were helping me navigate with my resume, preparing me for the interviews, just like what the CRC did, and then helping me to be able to get my job. When I first started off, I started off working after I had my bachelor's degree, I started off working as a para for maybe about 3 months before I became a teacher, just because I wanted to make sure that I can handle and work with kids. So before I take over the classroom. So needless to say, going back to your question, that transition could have been a lot smoother if I would have been more active in using the resources that was available, is what I would say.
Do you think that MFOS also helped you a little bit in your transition, or was it still the same thing, like you'd wish you had taken advantage of resources there?
Yeah, so I can't necessarily remember if the program at that time was very active in the exit. I do remember doing some exit interviews, but far as that preparing for exit, like let's help you find a job, let's help you with your resume. I don't remember if someone from the department maybe have referred me to the CRC, but I do remember that the CRC was a resource that I used to kind of help me with that.
So do you think overall UF has good resources for first generation college students?
I definitely feel like there are some resources that are on campus that if you're able to access them and identify them and they're made aware of what's available, if you utilize them, I do believe that it can help you make your journey a lot smoother.
Awesome. And I think I only have one question left, but if there's anything that you want to share about your experience, what you're doing now, feel free. The floor is open. We'd love to hear anything.
Yeah, no, I think I've shared a lot. I think I'm very proud to be a Gator. When I applied for college, like I said earlier, that was the only college that I applied for ever since I was a little girl. I'm like, I'm gonna go to UF, I'm gonna go to UF. And even, with me transitioning and no longer being in Florida, it's one of those things that I look back forward on and I take joy in. I told myself I won't be that parent that tell your child, hey, you're going to UF, you're going to go to there. But hopefully that would be an option that my kids will choose and will be able to have that memory and that extension of them becoming a Gator. So yeah, that's what I would say.
Awesome. So my final question is, if you could describe the first generation college experience for yourself in one word, what would that word be and why?
One word. Well, life-changing can be one word, right? Okay, great. I would say life-changing. I think for me, that experience and given the opportunity really changed my life. It changed the trajectory of my life. It gave me an opportunity that I would have never had. And I think I can say I am Dr. Lakisha Witter today because I was first a scholar at UF. So I a first year generational scholar at UF and was given that opportunity. So that's what I would say.
That's amazing. So thank you so much for speaking with me today. This is Dr. Lakisha Witter, and I'm going to stop the recording now. So.